Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. It is officially game week for Lincoln Riley and USC playing host to Missouri State week 1. Now, if USC is even close to the football team I think they're going to be in 2025 on the scoreboard, this won't be a very competitive football game. But if I'm a USC fan that follows this program closely, like there are a lot of storylines that I'm going to be watching for as this football team plays Missouri State. Hey, who's wide receiver 3? What's the running back rotation look like? What's the starting 5 look like on the offensive line? Switch to the defensive side of the football and say, hey, we got a lot of new faces, a lot of new pieces on this defense. How do we decide to deploy and use some of these new weapons on the defense side of the football? I think there are some position battles that will get determined in this football game as well. I guess the general question I would ask is, who's going to put a stamp on what they're going to mean for this USC football team going into 2025? I got a laundry list of talking points I want to get into. Before we do, and as always, the USC fans, we finally made it. And to many of y'all rocking with the boys, the amount of consistent support the USC fans have shown the fellas all off season long has been amazing. I can't tell you how excited I am to actually see this football team on the field. Appreciate you guys more than y'all know. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Hey, much more importantly, call your shot in the comment section. Like, hey, who are the players on this USC football team that are going to put a stamp on what they mean in 2025? I'm sure everybody listening has a name or two. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with Jaden at quarterback. Hey, what do we want to see from Jaden at quarterback week 1 against Missouri State? We've used this phrase a lot in the offseason. That is walking the line. We know Jaden offers a little bit more than Miller Moss athletically, from an arm talent standpoint. We know he has the ability to be a little bit more of a difference maker, make a little bit more plays for this USC offense. Now you have all that ability, and we want to see Jaden go out and do that against Missouri State, but we got to walk the line a little bit better. We want to be a difference maker. We want to make some high-level throws, but we also have to eliminate the really bad mistakes that we saw Jaden make in the back half of 2024. Getting more comfortable with, wait, what can I get away with and what can't I get away with? That's really the biggest step that we want to see Jaden make in this USC offense. And I don't think it's all that crazy to expect a step in the right direction from Jaden. This is a very, very talented quarterback that has worked under the tutelage of Lincoln Riley for the last 12 months. All these people assuming that Jaden's going to be the same quarterback that he was at the back half of 2024, that is a foolish decision to make. Now, here's the other thing that I'm probably more excited about this aspect, and that is, as much as we want to see Jaden take a step, what I'm most excited for is, how does Lincoln Riley build this offense around what Jaden does well? One of the talking points that I think is important is when Jaden took over this USC offense, it was built around Miller Moss. There was some growing pains in terms of Lincoln Riley learning about his quarterback. When you are a play caller, you need to know your quarterback. What does my quarterback do well? What does my quarterback not do well? And how can I call an offense and build an offense around the skill sets and what my quarterback does well? Well, Lincoln Riley's had the last 8 months, last 12 months to really learn about Jaden as a quarterback and build this offense and build his play calling sheet around what Jaden does well as a quarterback. Probably a little bit less processing the middle of the field, probably throwing more to the boundary, probably pushing the ball down the field a little bit more, getting outside the pocket. Hey, we couldn't really move the pocket with Miller Moss at quarterback. He wasn't really a guy that could throw off platform. Jaden can. Like a lot of things that Jaden offers this USC offense that Miller Moss didn't. Can Lincoln Riley better lean into the strengths of Jaden at quarterback? That's just as important as Jaden taking a step as a quarterback himself. That's what I'm most excited for. This USC offense should look a little bit different in terms of how Lincoln Riley's running this thing with Jaden at quarterback versus Miller Moss. And we didn't get a real sense of that in the back half of 2024. Hard to kind of build a new offense in the last 4 games of the season. How about the running back rotation? I think Wayman Jordan is probably going to be the running back one, probably taking the first snaps for this USC offense. But I do get the vibe that USC likes what they have with Eli Sanders. I think USC knows what they have with Brian Jackson as just a running downhill, short yardage guy that can get nitty gritty and kind of get the hard yards for you in the Big Ten. How do we deploy these different running backs in different situations is probably a question that I have in Wayman Jordan, man. Like, is Wayman Jordan that guy? Is Wayman Jordan a guy that can replicate what Woody Marks meant to this offense last year? There's a chance that is. I mean, the buzz that we've heard out of Wayman Jordan going back to spring practice, it's real. Wide receiver position, I'm excited to see the target share, number one. The biggest problem I think USC battled on offense last year is I don't think Lincoln Riley knew that Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon were his best pass catchers last year. Now, I don't know if it's like I didn't know, or it's like we're paying Zachariah Brand so much money, we're paying Deuce Robinson so much money. Maybe there was a little bit of pressure to get those high caliber guys the football. Going into 2025, this passing attack will be built around Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. There will be plays specifically designed to give these two opportunities to make plays. That's going to make this USC offense better because they were so clearly the top two players in this wide receiver room last year. Number two is, hey, who's that wide receiver three? Most importantly, hey, what are we looking for from our wide receiver three? Because you got a bunch of different options. And you got a guy like Prince coming from Boise State who is 6'5", he's 220 pounds, big body, contested catch that can give you value in the red zone. You got a guy in Zach Williams who I think is probably the most balanced of the three, or of the options, I should say. You know, a guy that can block on the perimeter, can work vertically if you want him to, can give you some value after the catch. You got a freshman in Corey Sims. You got a guy in Tanook Hines who has legitimate burners. You know, vertical speed that defenses have to respect. Number one is, hey, who is the best wide receiver out of that bunch? But number two is, hey, what kind of wide receiver are we looking for to play that wide receiver three position? That's a question mark I have too. And I'm gonna guess here that you're gonna see a bunch of names kind of get rotated in. And you might not even see a ton of Jacoby Lane, who I know is coming off a broken foot. So you're gonna get the opportunity to see what some of these other wide receivers can be for this USC team. Offensive line is the next thing. Probably the number one thing that I'm looking at. Number one, hey, can this be an offensive line that can move bodies off the line of scrimmage? I think USC might lean into the run game a little bit more. This is a team that we talked about it all offseason long. Ran the football exceptionally well last year. The problem is they just didn't run the football that much. Are we going to see Justin T get the start at right tackle with Tobias Raymond kicking into left guard? Are we going to see Micah Benuelos start at left guard and Tobias Raymond start at right tackle? Are we going to see a rotation? You know, the last couple of weeks of fall camp, it sounded like Killian O'Connor might be our starting center going into 2025. I am guessing you'll see USC maybe do some mixing and matching and trying to get a sense of, hey, we got 7, 8 guys that we trust to play on the offensive line. What's our best 5? Probably trying to figure that out over the first couple of weeks. And that's the benefit that USC has. It's not like you're opening up week 1 against LSU like you did last year. You have some time to give some different offensive line rotations the best opportunity. You have some time to figure out what your best 5 is. Here's the other thing is, do we get to see some of these freshman offensive linemen? Aaron Dunn, Elijah Vicona, guys that sounded like they had some pretty strong fall camps. I hope we do, because there might be a time where we have to rely on one of these guys to play some quality football for USC down the road. The offensive line rotation, what the pieces look like, that's probably story number 1 for me against Missouri State. They should handle Missouri State pretty well, but who are going to be the guys out there? Defensive side of the football, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where I think you see a lot of different combinations. Now, here's what I'm looking for first. On the defensive line, what do the different personnel groupings look like? When it's 1st and 10, or when it's 3rd and short, when it's some obvious run stopping downs, what is your front 4? Then when it's 3rd and long and the obvious pass rushing downs, what does your front 4 look like when we're kind of trying to get after the quarterback? That's probably what I'm most intrigued by. I look at this USC defensive line and say, I'd be surprised if they struggle stopping the run. Like when you have bodies like Keyshawn Silva and you have bodies like Josh Jarrett, Kobe Pepe, I think USC will be significantly better against the run than what they were last year. 3rd and longs, what's your best combination of players in pass rush situations? Is it Devin Tompkins? Is it Gita Abessari? Is it true freshman Floyd Boucard, who sounded like he had a really, really good fall camp? I mean, I look at Keyshawn Silver and Josh Jared and say, I don't know how much we'll see them on third and longs. I don't know if they're the best pass rushers on this team. The different rotations and personnel groupings for different situations is probably something I'm looking for. Linebacker position, I think we know what that's going to look like. Eric Gentry, Desmond Stevens. How are we using Eric Gentry? This might not be the game where you show all your cards in terms of how you want to use Eric Gentry. I don't think you need to do that to beat Missouri State. You're probably saving a decent amount of your Eric Gentry special packages for maybe that game against Illinois in a month. Right? I think USC has the opportunity to win some of these games pretty handily and maybe save some of their cars, save some of the bullets in the chamber for that game against Illinois. In the back end, does DJ Harvey play any nickel? You know, especially with the injury to Prophet Brown, we're looking for who can play nickel, and we've heard glowing reports of Alex Graham. Heck, Alex Graham might be your starting nickel defender in this football game. Well, the positive buzz we've heard around Carlos Nicholson, the positive buzz we've heard about Braylon Connolly, Chasen Johnson coming back from injury. Now that you know you got a bunch of boundary cornerbacks that you can trust, maybe you get some flexibility with DJ Harvey. Like, I think DJ Harvey, his skill set as a football player is best suited to play that nickel role. Do we see DJ Harvey play nickel in this football game? Safety position, I can't wait to see Bishop Fitzgerald. I think this, outside of the defensive line, which is a clear upgrade from last year, I don't know if there's a singular position that's more upgraded on this USC team than going from Achille Arnold to Bishop Fitzgerald. There were times last year where Achille Arnold was a straight up liability. Bishop Fitzgerald, I think, has the chance to be a monster upgrade. And I would also throw that Kennedy Urlacher's gotten a lot of buzz in fall camp as well. We'll probably see a decent amount of him as well. Not only are we going to get a sense of who our best football players are, we're going to get a little bit of a sense of the depth of this football team, which I think matters. Like, when you're USC and you want to make the college football playoffs in the Big Ten, you have to be deep. What's our 2 and 3 deep look like? We're going to get a sense. And this football game against Missouri State, fired up for it. We'll break it down on Sunday morning. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.